Okay.
Okay, I would like to call to order, this regular meeting, on Thursday, March 19th of the Teton County Library Board. Everyone, all board members are present. Elizabeth and Vicky are here remotely, and Miles, Peg, and myself are present in the room. Kip, Estella, and Lindsay are here. And Diana Peck with the foundation. Looks like Cindy is.
Which was here because of, for Susan's,
Yeah,
toward the end.
So we have a guest and we're ready to go. Would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
I would, go ahead.
Peg moved and Miles seconded. Adoption of the agenda, all in favor?
Aye.
I suppose I should have asked for additions or anything, but anyway, we'll move forward. And I'll move that we adopt the minutes of the February meeting. I move to approve the minutes of the February 19, 2026 regular meeting. All in favor?
Second or not.
I did say on there. Okay, Miles, moved, the motion passed. I thought after a year I would get better, but sorry, folks.
We're all good.
All right, is there any public comment today?
We have a correspondence.
Oh, we do? Oh,
A card sent from Virginia Gross addressed to members of the library board. You sure brightened up my day. Thank you. I was so appreciative of your thinking of me during the holidays. Chocolate from Atelier Ortega are my favorite gift in the entire world. Many thanks, Virginia Gross.
very nice. Right, then we'll move on to.
Mary Lee, quick question.
Yeah.
Would this be the time to acknowledge Susan's departure with a snippet of the email
We
that was sent?
It's on an agenda, it's on the agenda towards the end.
It's the end of the agenda.
It was added. Thank you. I missed that. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we'll take a look at financial information. Estella, do you want public comment? But
That was correspondence.
Oh.
Yeah. Now public comment.
Okay, is there?
There's no one online, and I don't know if Cindy or anybody has anything to say. No.
Okay, we'll move on to.
You're not on.
this one. Staff report then for financials, Estella.
Good morning. I don't, as you may have seen from my report, not a whole lot to discuss this morning. Income categories, I wrote nothing to report because we're just moving along at the proper pace that we expected with our income. And as I say every month, the interest income continues to grow very well. So in terms of expense categories, I did have something I wanted to bring up that I forgot about this until I was actually tallying the vouchers. And this is also related to a voucher. It shouldn't change anything, but when we opened our Amazon Prime account several years ago, we started with their invoicing procedure. And that worked well until it did not. Reason being is that we got to a point where Amazon started notifying us that we had past payments due of 60 days, 90 days, etc., even though we always paid our bill in full each month. And then what we slowly found that Amazon was doing is that they were not attributing the payment to the invoices that we asked them to. They would do a mix of what they attributed the payment to, and it got to be a very big headache. And Lindsay was a star because she was very patient in trying to email Amazon back and forth. So because of that problem, we decided, okay, we're not gonna do invoicing anymore. We're just gonna pay by credit card, which has worked out much better. However, on Amazon, for whatever reason, I'm not able to completely close out the invoice option, so it still just kind of lives there on our account. And recently, we had a staff person make a payment by invoice. There were two kind of errors with that. One, they accidentally made the payment by invoice, but they also were making a payment that should have been paid out of the Foundation and Friends credit card. So, what I forgot to make note of yesterday when the invoice and vouching procedure was being done is that we do have one voucher that was to Amazon for $204.25 that we are paying directly out of our operating budget because I didn't want to ask the foundation to pay that directly because of all the mess that we've had in the past with our invoicing procedure. However, I did notify Diana Peck and Laura if they could reimburse us for that foundation fund. So I think they've already received the check, but so I just want to make note of that. And I forgot to put that in my report because that was just a bit of an oddity there. I mentioned last month that the county has been working with our HRIS system regarding some when the county transitioned, there were some errors, or not errors, but just some, I don't even know what to say exactly, but some issues with salaries and so forth. And so I mentioned that last month. And I want to mention that on the expenditure appropriations report, the year-to-date expenditures are still not accurate because of that, because of the difficulties with the HRIS system and presumably the related items to staff salaries such as FICA, health insurance, etc. So it is our understanding from the county clerk that they're hoping to have that situation with the HRIS rectified this week. So I'm hopeful that next month's report will hopefully have the correct year-to-date expenditures. So here's hoping.
One question I have on that, it's really difficult, it's impossible to review those because they're not accurate at all. Will we have to go backwards once they clean it up, or will moving forward, we be reviewing these reports? In other words, they gotta get it up to date. It says we have 6% of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking from our standpoint as a board, will we have to go backwards and review the incorrect reports, or will we just have to review them moving forward?
I think it would just be that they would get the report for month ending March, would then hopefully have the accurate data. And so we would just move forward every month with those reports.
Okay, great, thank you.
Would be my assumption. And then just want to make note because this is an annual payment that we have as part of the Teton County Library being part of the Wyoming Wild Consortium. We have an annual fee that we pay. So that became due, and that was part of yesterday's voucher process. The total amount due was $12,860. That includes our share of databases that we share with the state of Wyoming and other libraries. And then that also includes our payment for our Symphony web license. That license is related to the catalog. And just so everybody understands too, there are several aspects or modules to the catalog. There's the public facing, which is what you all see, but then there's the back end of the catalog that staff see, which is where we input library account holder information. There's a section for module for acquisitions of materials. There's a cataloging module. So that's what this payment is for. Even though it is over the $7,500 amount, this is one of those things that a previous board approved. So we don't bring it to you all for approval. And also included in the payment since COVID, we have been receiving a credit through the Library Services and Technology Act. And so that was credited to the overall payment. So the overall payment is actually $10,282. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. And then I guess the other thing I wanted to highlight. So this month, the packet includes 2 warrant registers for February. The reason being is that when the deputy clerk processed the checks last month, somehow High Country Linen and Jackson Curbside were placed on the same check. So she had to avoid those and reissue, and that's why you're seeing 2 warrant registers for February. And I think that's about it I have to say for this month. Any questions?
No questions?
Can I just make you all aware of a situation, since Stella mentioned, the county's HRIS system. It is now March 19th, and county employees have yet to receive their W-2s.
They're what?
W-2s. We switched from one HRIS to another, and
But isn't that required by?
we
So-
received a W-2 for the income earned under the old system. These ones that were issued under the new system were incorrect. And so they were pulled, and the company was asked to run it again, and they took a long time, and they said that the holdup was their ability to upload information to the Social Security Administration. And that was supposedly remedied as of yesterday, and they said that it would take 2 to 4 weeks from yesterday to issue the new ones. The county can provide people with some of the numbers they need to complete their taxes, but a lot of people in the county for housing or student loan applications or for whatever have to have physical W-2s. And those are not in anybody's hands yet. So just want to make you aware.
Whose responsibility is that? Ultimately, in the
The
county.
county clerk.
Thank you.
She'd probably improve that.
Just saying.
And so that is why the report. The
Yeah, it is
explanation
tied to
I had trouble like expanding on all that. That's why the staff salary portion of the report is not up to date. And that is also why I'm hopeful that next month it will be.
4 weeks from yesterday, past the tax.
Yeah, it was like probably right on the tax day or something.
Can that new company like give them a extension to file or something?
I don't know the information from the clerk's office. Lindsay, are still gonna test theirs, or there's no information coming out to staff. I try to at least update our folks, and I don't, it's very frustrating. People are concerned about. Some people live at Hidden Hollow, and they have a deadline for submitting information, they lose their housing, things like that, so. There's a lot of angst out there. So just wanted to make that a public statement.
If I could just take a moment, piggyback, and both Kip and I have fielded questions from staff regarding this. And it has been difficult to really help them understand that we can't literally do anything, because it's so not in our hands, so.
Sorry. All right, we'll consider the payment of library vouchers. Peg, would you like to make the motion?
Yeah, 2 quick things before a motion. Elizabeth joined me yesterday and she's getting used to what the process is like. So we can only be one at a time. If anybody else would like to see what that's all about. Thank you, Elizabeth. The other thing, just a heads up, I won't be able to sign vouchers for the next meeting. So if you guys could think about who might be around, that would be great. And so I would move to approve the payment of library vouchers in the amount of $54,121.72.
Elizabeth, would you like to second that since you also,
I second. Thank you.
we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to Kip's report.
Okay, since you mentioned not being present next month, I also will not be present. It is just a voucher meeting, usually 5 minutes or so. As it turns out, Stella and many of the managers will be in a 3-day training that week, so I'm hoping the board is capable of running the meeting without either of us present. It's just initiating, and Lindsay will be present, I believe. So she could start the Zoom meeting, record to the cloud, and then end them. But hopefully,
But will you send us an agenda?
yeah.
For the meeting, so
It'll
All
just-
an
yeah,
agenda?
it'll just be the regular voucher meeting agenda. And that'll be ready for you.
Okay. Elizabeth, would you be able to do vouchers next month, April?
Yes, I just looked and I can email you all. I believe in May I will have to miss the board meeting. I know that's way out, but April, it's on my calendar. I will coordinate and step in. Thank you.
And I do get back on the 19th from being out of town for a few weeks. So if something comes up and I need to do it, I'm happy to do it as well.
So you're not present either, Mary?
No, I will be here.
Oh, you will be.
Yeah, I'm back in time for this meeting unless something goes wrong with my trip, but I think I should be.
Okay. Other things in the report, after many months, our space reconfiguration for staff is finally mostly done. I think, there's little tweaks here and there to do, and getting the former facilities office converted to a new meeting room is really the big project that's left. And we're hoping that that's, depending on the door, will be maybe a nice National Library Week gift to the community. A 10th study room. Most of the projects, I've listed a lot of facilities projects, just so you're aware of what's going on. I think we've talked about all of them individually, but to see them all listed is probably good for you to know what all is going on. The one about sprinklers, we'll talk about here in just a minute. And then library staffing news, I guess. A few changes, as you know, we're celebrating Susan's 35 years of service today, as well as her retirement. We have made a tentative offer to someone for a youth services position, and Stella and I get to spend the afternoon doing interviews for the circulation supervisor position, which is going to be access services supervisor position. And so hopefully we'll have that position filled, at least an offer after today. And then we had an employee yesterday in circulation who does half of our passport appointments resign a 2-week notice yesterday. So we will have to pause a lot of our passport appointments for the short term. But we're past the spring break rush, so we should be fine in that regard. And probably no rush to fill that position because we'll have a new person in the supervisor position, which this position currently falls under. So I don't want to hire somebody that the new person would probably, maybe they wouldn't like that or have a different idea, and leadership would like to meet and discuss what the future of that position might look like too.
Did I read somewhere else that there's 9 people trained to do the passport?
Yeah,
So
we have 9 agents. This one was, carries the bulk of them because the funding for that position comes from the revenue passport applications, so that's why that position does about half of our appointments each week. Right. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, and the current, and Stephanie Franco was the circulation supervisor. And she did two a week. So we'll be down a bit, but we still have 7 agents. It's just that
So-
the other 7 agents have a lot of other jobs to do, so.
We
it's hard.
carry on, but there'll be fewer appointments.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
idea that
Yeah.
you can still?
Oh, we're still gonna.
Process your passport?
Yeah, we'll still be doing it, yeah. And what else? You guys questions?
Any questions for Kip?
I think one thing I want to thank, the whole staff for, dealing with positive and negative comments. It must be difficult, so.
Oh, the patron comments.
Yeah, I just am kind of amazed sometimes, but, so I just want to say you guys are doing a good job and how you handle things.
I think most of the time the patron comments are usually positive, but let us get that one.
All right, if there aren't any more questions for Kip, Diana, it's all you. Teton 2023 Foundation.
Thank
Friends.
you. I had a really brief report, but just a couple things to point out that you'll be hearing from us regarding National Library Week. We're excited about planning our festivities for that week and bringing awareness and appreciation to the library. Some of the things we have planned, and you'll receive an email from Laura in our office if you would like to participate. We'll be requesting to read our National Library Week proclamation at the County Commissioners meeting that week on Tuesday. Also on Tuesday during National Library Workers Day, we'll be holding a luncheon here in the Ordway for staff. To again, like an appreciation and to honor them on National Library Workers Day. And then on Thursday, we're hosting coffee and donuts, the Foundation and Friends, in the lobby. And that's always usually been tied to some kind of another awareness for the library. So for example, 2 years ago, we were debuting the coffee cart and the new outreach van. So we had patrons come in to see those, and we were presenting coffee and donuts for them. And then last year, we were holding Wonder Lab Makerspace tours, and then we had a Library of Things petting zoo. And this year, we are going to have a library resources fair. So we'll have tables set up in the lobby, and we're trying to feature some of the library programs that aren't well known. Like, for example, the Brain Fuse digital access program, or Creative Bug, which is also digital. And then some of the new things like in the youth services, they have the Wonder Books, and not all patrons know about that. So we're going to have a few of the libraries, not super well-known resources out so that folks can learn more about them. And that's on Thursday. So we welcome you all to join us if you'd like for the reading of the proclamation, to serve lunch to staff. And if there's any help needed at the resource fair, we may do a call for volunteers as well for that. So
Can
we're,
you remind me of the dates?
yes, those are going to be April 19th to the 25th. And the theme this year is called Find Your Joy, and that's comes from ALA. And we are also offering, we're purchasing some fun t-shirts for staff. An author that's worked with ALA has created a Library Joy t-shirt. And so we're, the Foundation and Friends are going to be ordering those for staff, for our board, for your board, anyone who wants to participate in any of the week's festivities and would like their Library Joy t-shirt. So just be on the lookout for an email from us about all of that. And then the other thing I wanted to point out that's not included in your report is the work of our Library Funding Committee, because it's time to start establishing the budget for fiscal year 27 for our library funding requests to the Foundation and Friends. And our committee that was just formed this year, our new committee, is doing some great work. And I met with Stella and Kip to share with them In looking at library funding for fiscal year 27, there was a desire to look at it more holistically. As you can see on our reports, we break out spending in terms of library department. So you have your youth services, adult services, Latino, Alta branch. And so that's how we've always viewed the funding, but there was a greater desire to see it holistically in terms of these buckets of how we serve patrons, how the library serves patrons. So for example, I'll just share with you real quickly, we created 5 buckets of funding requests. They go into programs and classes. So we think about ways patrons experience the library. The second bucket is collection and resources. So that's either materials or platforms or digital resources that patrons can check out or use. And then we have access and outreach. And we think about that as ways that the librarians serve patrons outside the library. So these are book giveaway programs like Sprout Mobile or Born to Read, or maybe it's take home craft kits where folks, either youth or adults come in and pick up a craft kit to take home and put together. So that's access and outreach. And then we have spaces and technology, and that is thinking about ways that we can improve the patron experience within the spaces, and also ways we can improve the staff's work efficiency and things that we can enhance their abilities to do their job. And then finally, we have our staff bucket, which is how we support library staff. So that might be our category of appreciation and wellness initiatives. It could be our housing support fund, staff development in terms of educational opportunities and enrichment and development. And so we're looking at that in those ways rather than individual departments, because we realize just like in youth services alone, they might have asks in all 5 different areas. And then when you look at that holistically, you can get a better picture of what is the overall overarching goal for that, for those funding requests. So anyway, we're really enjoying this process and we're starting to meet with staff this week and the week after spring break to go over some of this year's asks to look at program outcomes and impacts, and then start putting together the numbers package for next year. And what are the goals for next year? What if any are the new initiatives or ongoing programs that they feel have been really strong and deliver, just great benefits to patrons, and they want to continue those. So we're in that process right now, and it's going well.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
If you didn't read the article in the paper last week about our book club volunteer, it's worth a read.
Yeah, it was attached to your report. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So any questions for Diana? Are you ready to move on? All right. Fire suppression and sprinklers upgrade.
Yes, here, that's okay. Hello.
How are you?
Doing well, yeah. Thanks for having me. So this staff report is to request some money for a project. In our annual fire inspection this year, it was identified that we have several deficiencies in our sprinkler heads. Primarily the outdoor sprinkler heads that go around, like the walls and the roof underneath. And there are several different issues. We've identified them. We worked with Mountain Fire to identify each item that needs to be upgraded. Came up with a quote, and we are looking at a budget request of $40,000 from capital reserves so that we can remedy these problems. The basic staff impact is that me and Chris will manage the coordinate with the fire, whoever we hire and award. I'll put together the request for proposal, and then we'll have to review that. We'll have to approve the bid and go through the typical process of getting it done. So right now, we did not anticipate this. So asking for the suggested motion is, and this is for life safety. Right now, we don't believe that the fire marshal does not believe that system will not perform properly and adequately. However, these things should be changed, and they should be changed as soon as we can. So the suggested motion is to approve funding for fire suppression upgrades from the capital reserves account in the amount of $40,000, so that we could put an request for proposal together to get this work done.
Hey, thank you, Rick. Any questions for Rick or Stella or Kip on this topic? Then, Elizabeth?
Yes, hi. Rick, thank you so much. It's great hearing from you every meeting. I feel like your hands are always full and you have great answers. I noticed, I believe that you may have to close the library for a day. And so I just thought I'd ask for confirmation on that. And then I'm just curious as to what day you're looking at and what impact you feel it may have on our patrons.
Correct. I'm sorry I did not address that in my opening there. And so it could be quite noisy and disruptive. Most of that's going to happen in the adult wing and in the back office areas. So there is a question to how much we would need to close, if we want to close the whole library partially, just let people know, or not just, but let people know that there could be some disruptions and noisy, stuff happening over a couple of days. We'll have to take the system down entirely, which means we would have to be on fire watch all day. Every hour, somebody would have to tour the building and do a walk around fire watch until the system is back in service. The first day, hopefully we get done all of the draining mechanical repairs the first day, and then takes time overnight for sealants and other pieces to cure before we can recharge the system. And then we'd have to recharge the system. Recharging the system won't really be a very noisy and complicated piece for our patrons. So probably look at 1 day of full closure is my guess. We should be prepared for that. I'm going to look and see if we can coordinate it so we don't have to. However, I think we should be prepared for at least 1 full day of being down, and then a second day where it could be a little disruptive. And both of those days, we would have to do fire watch every hour around the building, which is not too big a deal. We can handle that. That's if it goes super smooth. So some of this will be determined after we get the request for proposal out, we get the proposals back, we review them, and then we come up with a plan on scheduling each piece of the operation. Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much.
And we were looking at on Juneteenth, Friday, the 19th of June, we are closed. So one of the things we would like to do is try to target that day to be the day where the camera company comes in and does the heavy lifting. The problem we run into there is some companies only work Monday through Thursday now, they do 410s. But we can steer them into that Friday, and then we would need them to work Saturday to get us back up and recharged. So there are some challenges with June 19th, but it is a target.
It's great you're thinking about all of this. Thank you so much and great work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I'm curious, it's a pretty big unexpected expense, and I'm wondering how we accommodate that in our budget.
It's coming out of capital reserves, which is at a balance of almost $2 million. It's just an unplanned expense out of that account, but we have the funds to do that. And so.
Any other questions? Right, would someone like to entertain a motion? I mean, I'd like to entertain a motion. Does someone want to make a motion?
I move to approve funding for fire suppression upgrades from the library's capital reserve fund, account 910000 in the amount of $40,000.
I'll second.
Peg seconded, Elizabeth moved, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Are we still on for the?
Sure, just arrived.
Oh, there's John. I can already.
Having me. I'll just come up here if that's okay. Really quickly, just wanted to provide an update to you all about the transportation planning happening on Snow King, and Director April Norton asked me to really emphasize that this will not happen in conjunction with 90 Virginia Lane. They're, separate projects, very much on separate paths. But we are thinking ahead to the future of Snow King, and specifically, a potential roundabout here at Virginia Lane and Snow King. So I printed a concept. If folks want to take one and pass it around. I think I printed enough for the board. These ones left to you. So we've just done very preliminary conceptual design for if there comes a time when we need to put a roundabout here at Snow King and Virginia, and what could that roundabout look like? And you'll see in the shading in this diagram represents the new real estate that the county or the town would need to acquire to make this roundabout work. And this is designed so that a transit bus, but also a tractor trailer, 65-foot long tractor trailer could navigate this roundabout, because we do have some of those heavier vehicles. Again, this is about all we've done. We have this diagram so that if we come to a point where we're ready to move forward with design, we would do more detailed design and move into construction. But we wanted to do this so that when the Virginian was being planned, we knew where they shouldn't put a building, right? We don't want the building encroaching in the area where we think we might need space for a roundabout. And so their design has already been adjusted to reflect that. And I wanted to share this, and Kip was kind enough to allow me to be here today because the town has asked each year when Congress reauthorizes the annual spending bill, communities are invited to request congressionally directed spending, aka earmarks. And the town has prioritized this for congressionally directed spending. So they have requested some funding to do the design and construction. So it could happen in 5 years, it could happen in 15 years, it might never happen, but we did want to make you all as the library board aware that we're thinking about the future of Snow King and the future of this intersection. Happy to take any questions.
I'm assuming this meets all the standards of, street, standards, setbacks and all of that. Is there anything here that's deviating from standards? They look really tight. That's why I'm asking.
It does meet the standards that other diagrams we did. There's a tool called, auto turn. And we've tracked how a start transit bus or a tractor trailer would move through the intersection. And they do have to track a bit off of the road to make this roundabout. But the reason for that is roundabouts are considered more efficient in a high volume scenario. So you all probably experienced, in the summertime, and even yesterday or earlier this week, I was coming down Snow King and it got quite backed up. And so while we are really cognizant about designing for safety, not just the convenience of the auto users, if there were an emergency evacuation situation in East Jackson, there's only 2 ways out. It's Snow King or Broadway. So we're thinking about that too, and how can we make sure that things are flowing safely.
And then how does this, to your point, how does this connect? What happens at the stop sign? What happens at the other
Right.
locations?
We think everything to the east is suitable. To the west, Snow King and Scott, that's currently being realigned. There's a plan to realign Snow King and Scott. I'm not super in the weeds on that one. Brian Schilling, our pathways coordinator, has worked really closely with the town, and that one's moving along too. They're hoping to do construction in 2028, the fiscal year. So probably 2 years from now, we might see that intersection torn up to realign the pathways and realign that intersection to make it more of a 4-way. And I believe there's not room there to do a roundabout, and so I believe, and I could be wrong, that will remain an always stop.
Yeah, that one's really tough. I'm on the pathways task force
Oh,
as
yeah.
well, and that's a very tight intersection already.
Right, and actually, that's why we did this exercise, is because if you look at this corner, the northeast corner, if they had built their building, we would never be able to build a roundabout, because that's what's happened at Scott and Maple, is all the buildings are basically encroaching on the area you would need to build that roundabout.
And a light at the corner here or no?
Ooh, that's, we've talked about it. I think it doesn't yet meet the warrants, which are what YDOT considers. If there's a certain traffic volume that's occurring there, then they would say that that meets a warrant. But they also want them to be at least a quarter mile apart, and we're not a quarter mile from Scott Lane, so that's not really contemplated in the near future.
Is the orange on the south end, that's a pedestrian pathway that would be further out than where the cars?
Yes, I think that orange is showing where there'd be if there's a separated bike path, the bike path would cross, and then because there's there's those transverse bars in black for the pedestrian crossing. Or it's kind of, I think we have two options there. We could move the crossing further to the south to create that extra space and time between modes. Or maybe we could keep them combined and have a single crossing.
Is there any data that they, just Americans are not great at roundabouts always? What kind of data do they have up near the airport on kind of compliance problems that arise?
So
That's a very different situation, speed.
it's higher speed. We would hope that people would learn. I think they are becoming more prevalent. There's a lot of communities in the US that are redesigning all their intersections to be roundabouts. And my understanding is that a lot of the issues that happen at the Grobot roundabout are due to drunk or impaired driving and high speed. And so as long as people are coming in slowly, it's a traffic calming measure, then they're able to navigate them. But the finer points, like using your turn signal when you enter and exit a roundabout, though, yes, there's certainly some education could be done around that.
I'm also wondering if there could be education encouraging larger vehicle operators to not take smoking and use, the more appropriate Broadway access to the town or about town.
Right, yes, we've talked about this internally because ideally that you could be directing trucks in that way, but there is this, I think right next door to you or just down the street here, there's a distribution center. And then during the summer with the fairgrounds, but yes, agreed, we could do more around educating on truck routes for sure.
There's a great Teton mobility project, has like a really amazing robust GIS map of how the town and county are thinking about moving pedestrians, vehicles, different speeds, different users throughout the whole town. There's like fascinating overlays of how we're trying to design different corridors for different user types and speeds. And there's like lots of high level thinking about that, but better signage and better ways in which we actually direct people to those more appropriate routes is a big problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So, we want to talk about recruitment. Vicky, I think she's there. Are you there, Vicky? Vicky has pretty much confirmed that oh, there you are. Hi, Vicky. Vicky has confirmed that she will not be running again for a position on the library board when her term expires this July. Is that right, Vicky? Yes, she says. Okay. And Peg, have you decided?
I think if we could find a different treasurer, mostly because I'm having trouble with the timing of being here in person, so I'm happy to help, but that would be, one issue, and that I don't want to chair. That would be the second issue. But I'm happy to come on. I've done it plenty of times on other boards. I'm trying to take a little more time with myself. So, if that's something we think we can work out, happy to talk about it.
Yeah, and, I've talked to Elizabeth to consider the possibility of taking on the treasurer duties. I don't know if you've come to any conclusions about that, Miles. I actually would like to continue as chair so that I can finally master how to manage. I just need one more year. So I think I would like to continue as chair for another year. How do you feel about the possibility of doing vouchers?
I just worry that my in-person work during the week really often conflict with that.
Yeah, and your summers too, when you're out.
Yeah, I'm often backpack.
Yeah, yeah. So Elizabeth, not to put you on the spot.
Put you on the spot.
I'm absolutely happy to step into the role as treasurer. Peg, we want to keep you. I really appreciated the training yesterday and see that the staff absolutely is a support system for the treasurer with any questions they may have. And if for some reason I can't do it 1 month, like we're seeing next month, Peg, I know someone will be able to step in. So yes, I will.
Okay,
One last thing, when we did it together, it actually was pretty awesome. So I'm happy, keep the ball rolling and it's not cut off.
I very much would love to come and learn the process.
Very excited.
and I did it once too, so I can step in as well. So do we want to have a conversation about recruitment for our board position? The library has gotten a lot of attention this year. There might be a lot of interest in our open seat. But I thought maybe, we should have a little conversation about what an ideal addition to our board would look like. Does that sound good? I'm wondering what you're thinking.
Because we don't have a regular meeting in April, and May is kind of
Yeah.
a late time to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Probably today is the best time for that.
Typically, I think it's a good idea to recruit, just to make sure that we have a good candidate. And I'm thinking that would be very nice to have someone who has children in the schools. And secondly, the second characteristic would be nice to have another male on our board, so Miles doesn't feel, like he's holding down a huge responsibility of representing his gender, so. Yeah, any other ideas on that?
I mean, I think any kind of diversity is really good.
And work diversity
And
is
this
really
community,
important.
and this is something that will be open to, it will be an invite from the county commissioners that anyone can apply.
Yes.
However, what we're talking about is targeting specific needs. Okay,
So,
making sure I understand that.
yeah, and so I guess I would say, if you have any ideas of individuals you think would be a good ask to apply for an interview for a position on our board, I would ask that you just send your recommendations to me, and I'll put together a list that we can share, and then we'll decide how to go about that.
When are they gonna start advertising? Because it's not currently on the county site, right? It was, Vicky already gonna be gone in July. Seems like they might put that up.
I don't remember exactly when they do it, but I know they do interviews in late May or June. So they probably need to open it soon, maybe right after spring break. We'll have to do them.
I think that's when it opened the last time.
Is there anything on our end that we need to remind the county or their?
No, they take care of, yeah, it comes from it, as Peg said, from the commissioners, so,
Regarding the county, oh, Kip, please continue.
I'm sorry. There will be two openings and, we can just assume that Peg will be reappointed unless she makes enemies of some county commissioners between now and then, I mean, you know. But, so yes, there will be two openings and that's just, according to what our bylaws or
So I reapply.
you
Okay.
reapply.
Got it.
Oh. I do have a question. I'm not sure of the governance of the county or the way it works completely with applicants, but I wonder if we might be able to, or they identify those who applied last year but were not selected to encourage them to reconsider applying. I think one of the most important qualities, in my opinion, is that the person cares and that they're invested. And if someone applied in the past, we know that that exists already.
Do we know who else applied besides you and Miles?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, and I don't know if
I have
that can be
the
public.
list. I have the list, I have their applications.
Okay.
I would recommend not doing that.
Okay.
It requires initiative and I think they should take that initiative. Life conditions change and, I do believe we got the best candidates last year, so.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kip. And then it kind of goes without saying, but Diana, thank you and the foundation for making this year such a high profile year for the library and our importance. So I think if need be, maybe we could connect to explore some of the people who you guys really engaged with, or even if it's an email list or something, but would love to not overlook all that you've done.
And I'd like to add on to that too, Elizabeth, that, I'm hoping that at our next in-person meeting in May, that we can have a discussion about how we are proactively garnering the support of our community because this issue that came up, the, sexually explicit materials in libraries, will be back again in the next session, which is a general session, which will even be more dangerous because, you have to remember that this bill failed because it wasn't considered by the Senate. That doesn't mean it was defeated. So, I think everywhere in the state, we need to be thinking about how between now and the next legislative session, we improve our, awareness in our communities about the values of our libraries and what we're, what we, how important the right to read is. And hopefully those communities will all agree with the libraries that the right to read is a critically important right. So
Can
we'll
I
talk
just-
about that in May. Go ahead, Vicki.
I think one of the things we also need to consider is how we would respond if something like HR 10 were to pass. Because we're a public library, and what can we do?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
That is it. I don't know that it will pass. None of us do, but we need to be prepared for how we're going to do that.
Great.
They're not saying take all these books out of the library. They're saying take it out of the youth wing.
Right. And we will talk about that in May. So we can.
Something to think about.
Well, the county commissioners were already crafting a way around it. However, my question is, do we have influence over the questions asked in the interview by the commissioners?
We don't get to choose the questions. When I started, I did ask them to consider at least some of the basics, like where do they stand on intellectual freedom and book censorship and stuff, and they did incorporate that into their, but all of you have been interviewed by them. It's pretty brief.
Really great.
Little why do you want to be on the board? And,
But that question was
but
asked.
that is one that, and they didn't used to ask that, I guess, so,
Okay.
they do that now, so.
Great.
There is a little bit, but. Depending on who the chair is, they may ask me my thoughts on the candidates, they may not. So I do attend the interviews, so.
And it's really good to know what we've gone through over the past year is that our Board of County Commissioners definitely supports the right to read. So we're, I don't think there's one, commissioner who would not support the defeat of House Bill 10. So that's a really great thing that we have here.
I mean, I did have a just working on this one, so.
Right.
If you are concerned, it feels appropriate that the board could send a letter to the county commissioners before those interviews of here's the type of candidate and experience.
There is conversation, right? Going into the interviews or after the interviews or how is that?
It depends on, I actually think your suggestion makes more sense than waiting to see if they decide to ask me or something. I think it might be nice to send a letter to them.
All right, well, send me your recommendations and I will share mine with you and we'll move forward on that. Thank you. Okay, how much time can we spend on the strategic direction?
As much time as you want to spend.
Okay.
I mean, within reason.
Yeah. Well, we'll just go ahead and jump in and see what your thoughts are, and I hope everybody had a chance to read over the strategic plan and Kip's summary of conversations with staff regarding the strategic plan. And I can go ahead and start the conversation because I have something that I would like to contribute. And if you do, please let me know. But I did this morning send out the letter that Natalia Dunker or Macker shared this week. And I really liked it. And I don't know, did you see it, Diana? I didn't include you, but she kind of based her letter on this idea of what if we collectively waged care instead of war. And I just really like that notion of how, as a library, I've noticed in the strategic plan, there's a lot about how we, as a library, meet the needs of our community. And I'm wondering if the strategic plan could include a little bit more about how we, as a community of workers, meet the needs of our staff. And I think we're thinking about that all the time. I mean, you have plans and a program for meeting staff needs, caring for staff. And I'm just wondering, I noticed in the strategic plan that it's priority 4 that includes information about staff. And goal 1 identifies and the Teton County Library identifies and pursues organizational needs, employee development, resilience, and growth. And potential actions include increased investment in staff and board trainings. And then an indicator of success is patron reports of feeling welcomed, represented and engaged. Also highly engaged and invested staff, and community reports that the library is trusted and valued are the indicators of success. And I wonder if our strategic plan could include how we engage as staff in our library with the community to develop these indicators of success. And I just wonder, as a board, we have identified a sense that we really want to encourage a healthy work community and atmosphere at the library. And is there room in the strategic plan to address that more directly than we currently do? And then I guess the next part of this question is this the kind of updates that could be included if that's what we're doing? Maybe you could explain a little bit, Kip, what exactly we are doing with our strategic plan, which comes to its culmination in 2027.
Sure.
So I kind of went all over the place there, so follow me if you can.
Can I just make a comment, Kip, before you start? Or a question? This is an existing strategic plan. Might what Mary Lee is talking about be something we would create or add for the next strategic plan?
I think that's what Mary Lee was asking.
Okay.
Actually, she and I talked earlier in preparation for the meeting. So I'll jump back a little bit, I guess.
Okay, good, yeah, thank you.
So the strategic plan that's in place right now runs 2023 to 2027. Whether that's the beginning or end of 2027, we could decide as we move forward, I guess. But
Fiscal year.
I think the key priorities in that strategic plan are still valid. I don't know that if we spent $50,000 with the consultant to do an entirely new strategic plan, that we would come up with something different. We might come up with different projects or ideas under those, but I think those are gonna, and to tie it to why I'm recommending a refresh is because also for a number of reasons, I think in about 2 years, I would like to retire and say I'm done. And I would rather have a refreshed and extended strategic plan in place, so that an incoming director doesn't inherit something that they had no input into. Why tie their hands with something that they may have other ideas? And so I'm recommending that we take our current strategic plan, do a community survey, have a focus group or two, talk about what we've done so far, and ask staff, ask the community what else we could do under those priorities that would make the library even better. And that would extend somewhere into 2029, maybe.
No, 20, it would start, wouldn't it? Our new strategic plan will start next year, 2027. It's fiscal year 2027 as of July 1st.
We can decide when it starts.
Oh,
So
we
we-
can decide it. Okay.
Exactly.
We were thinking about extending the current strategic plan, stretching it into another 2 years with some refresh and updates.
Oh, nice to know.
When a new staff person comes on board,
Okay.
then that would be the time to do a new strategic plan for the next, looking forward to the next 5 years or 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
Um,
and I would think we would want to wait till after July when we have a new board in place to start the process.
Yeah.
so I jumped a little bit ahead, giving my input on what I would like to see the refresh possibly include.
And I think that's a very good one.
Thank you.
It aligns with, when the county did its culture survey, that's some of the things that, county employees wanted to see from the county. So I think it fits nicely.
Yeah, so how would we proceed with this, Kip?
I think we get a new board in place, so sometime late summer, I think we start the process again, and talk about this. Look at where we are again, what we've accomplished over the summer, and decide. Do we want to hire a local consultant to prep a much shorter survey than the one we did last time, maybe, that's more focused on what we've done, and what the current priorities are, and build a survey on that and ask the community and staff and the board, what else we could be doing under those priorities, evaluate what we've done so far, and then, so it would be kind of like a mini process.
But we would like be through the process by the end of this calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to say yes, no at this point? Shall we have this as an agenda item in May where we would say that's how we want to proceed with our strategic plan? Is that the way that we would move this forward, this idea, or reject it?
Because the work's gonna fall on a new board, I feel like maybe you don't wanna find the other board. Not that it's gonna change much, probably.
Yeah.
But I would recommend waiting until July to decide.
Okay,
I think that the intent of moving forward is a good one and readdress it. I'm okay with the concept of a mini update, if you will, a mini process. And I think that the new board, whatever that makeup is, will have specific kind of, I would say, like an addendum items that we can weave in, knowing, because there are a lot of things that are either ongoing, or, you know, that we need to work on here anyway. So I'm good with the concept and happy to talk about it more in May.
something that we haven't really ever done as a board. The commissioners do it at the start of their new year, is have a board retreat
Yeah.
where we just sit and talk about our ideas and our future and identify the priorities for.
Maybe not a 3-day retreat, but a half day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, because it is being so focused.
yeah. Elizabeth, do you have any thoughts on this idea?
I think this sounds like a great plan, waiting to incorporate the new board members, and I'm really excited to be involved.
Miles, good?
Yeah, I think interested in moving forward. I think I'm always hesitant of throwing a lot of money at an outside consultant when I think there's already a lot of story in this room and in the library, but I think adjusting it for looking forward is really important, but it's just basically I think that there's a lot of expertise already because in that guidance.
Good.
Well
right.
said, Miles. That's a great comment. What we have is a beautiful strategic plan, and to just refresh it is a great idea.
Good.
And I'll comment in May, even though I can't comment after July.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. It's good to get a sense of that. And I wonder if there are any other matters from board members, employees, supporting organizations. It looks like people are ready for a little celebration here. So if there aren't any other matters, we'll move on to our recognition that we have planned. All right, and I'm gonna stand up because it's too bad that I can't see people from my back. So we're here to celebrate Susan's 35 years as a staff employee. There you are. We just want to, as a board, very much extend our appreciation for your long time, hard work. I'm just gonna read this because I am really validating. Good morning, everyone. It's a real honor to take a few moments today to recognize Susan Centrella and to celebrate her remarkable career with the library. Susan's story here begins nearly 35 years ago, back when the library was still in the log cabin. Since that time, she has quite literally grown with the library through the move into a new building, through its expansion, and through years of change. Few people can say they witnessed and contributed to that kind of evolution in one place. Over the years, Susan has worked with at least 10 library directors and alongside countless colleagues. Through all that change, she has been a constant, someone who shows up, does the work, and helps keep things moving forward. That kind of steady dedication is something every organization depends on and something we deeply value. Over the years, Susan has worked with at least 10 library directly. Just as important are the relationships Susan has built over the years with coworkers, with patrons, and with this community. A career like hers leaves a lasting imprint, not just on the institution, but on the people who have had the chance to work with her. Susan, on behalf of the library board, thank you for your 35 years of service, your commitment, and everything you've given to this library. It has truly mattered. We are so pleased to celebrate you today. I'd like to be present with you with this small gift as a token of our appreciation. And I guess we're having a little party here. So thank you.
We can't have the party until you adjourn the meeting.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn this March 19th, 2026 regular meeting, and I'm very sorry I can't be there.
Thank you, Vicky. Second?
Second.
Miles seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed, meeting adjourned.
Bye, everybody.